I forget now that a lot of people aren't even aware of the truth behind what's in my neck or the reason I ever even got onto this app. For my internal decapitation due to a failed fusion where I had no bone left around my 6 screws. I made a video a couple of weeks ago, maybe even a month ago, saying, ha 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 ha, hoo ha ha ha, hoo ha ha. Well, I didn't say that, but I should have. But in my video, I explained I found Satan's kryptonite. You want to know what that kryptonite really is? Forgiving somebody who has done you wrong that isn't even sorry. That takes a whole nother person. That takes a whole nother level of Christian. To forgive a person who has hurt you deeply, done you wrong, and not only has not apologized, but in many cases still insists they haven't done anything to you. And I truly believed that was Satan's kryptonite. And it is. But I am here to tell you checkmate, baby, because I found one better. And I learned this lesson a while ago when Andy was still here, so I don't know why it's taken me this long for the aha moment to be here now. If you know anything about my medical history and what has happened to my neck, my internal decapitation, 2 months of living with 6 razor-sharp surgical screws floating because there was 0 bone left around them, floating randomly, without warning, hitting me smack dab. It was as if my entire neck was being hit by a bolt of lightning. It is not the typical failed fusion, ow, ow, ow. No, this was different. Even my surgeon who specializes in failed fusion says, no, Colette, nobody experiences this because by this point, people aren't here. I lived that way for 2 months. I've shared the videos multiple times and it's very hard for me to share these videos. If I have to, I guess I will, but at this point, I'd rather not. I would get anywhere from 5 to 15 times an hour, 24 hours, 7, while I was sleeping. Some would last, ow, 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 where others, I would immediately cover my eyes, grab the back of my neck and just scream bloody murder. It felt like Freddy Krueger had a hold of my spine and was pulling to the ceiling. At the same time, it felt like my neck was in a bear vice. It was excruciating and ungodly. That's how I always explained it. Ironically, I found out not very long ago when Uncle Mike and I both woke up simultaneously at 2:30 with a YouTube thing playing randomly explaining the crucifixion of Christ. You see, he didn't have the nails go through his palms. No, because the weight of a human, those would have torn through. And in fact, they would put the nails through the wrist so that way it would secure the person, but for one other very good reason. You see, crucifixion like this is so excruciating because when they do that and they put those razor sharp nails, sometimes dull, rusty nails through their wrist, it does something. It hits those nerves. And while he is on that cross, the excruciating pain is far more because of that nerve being hit by that nail. It is like being hit full body by electricity, by lightning. And that is where the word excruciating comes from. The only word I ever described my neck, failed fusion, when the screws would hit my nerves. Well, that and ungodly. I've told that story a million times, and those were the words that always came naturally. Excruciating explains pain that is unbearable, pain that is unexplainable. And its root word is from crucifixion, excruciating. Father, Father, why have you forsaken me? I had excruciating, ungodly pain. Because I too had screws hitting my nerves and it felt like I said, lightning bolts hitting me. And some of those would last for 2 hours. Unable to escape it. It was maddening. And this lasted for 2 months straight. I almost unalived myself a month into it. It isn't a pain that humans will or should ever have to endure. But I did, and I made it. And although I did suffer an internal decapitation in 2018 due to it, when the little bit of bone that was holding my neck on snapped. Thank God, all by the grace of Yah, it happened on the operating table and not during our 12-hour drive from Elko to San Francisco. Had it, like my surgeon explained, if I sneezed, coughed, or even turned wrong, and God forbid if I got into a fender bender, I would have unfortunately died in front of my husband in our car. I am part of a very small club, an elite club, and you don't want to be a part of it, of people who have survived internal decapitations. 70% will not make it. Of the 30% that is lucky enough to reach medical treatment in time, even then only 15% survive. I guess you could say I've lost my head for my father. Anyways, the surgeon who botched my surgery originally, it is a long story. I've told this story a million times. This is his fault. And he watched for 3 years as I went to his office every 3 months in excruciating pain, nowhere near what it was at the end. He knew the entire time it was because my 6 screws were whittling away my bone from the inside out, and he covered it up. I have endured so much pain at the hands of that man. Fast forward 2 years, in 2020, I was diagnosed with an extremely rare and aggressive cancer, a sarcoma in my neck. Hence, I don't have a trap. Right now, I'm in severe spasm. I'm in a lot of pain. But my trap is gone, and so is 2 inches of my motor nerve. I lost about 70% function of my left arm. And after biopsy, they found that this is what's called a trauma-induced sarcoma. What's that? Well, I didn't know either. But apparently, from what my surgeons explained, it was caused by the repetitive surgeries done to my neck. Yet again, one thing that my previous surgeon is responsible for, and I would have never gone through, nor would I have to face cancer the rest of my life, an aggressive, fatal type of localized cancer like that, had he never botched my original surgery or covered up the fact a lot had gone wrong. Ooh, that was tough to forgive him. And for months, I didn't know if I was going to survive. And I didn't know if I even wanted to. Like I said, I had horrible thoughts go through my mind. I was angry. Oh, I was so angry. The years after this, I was becoming more and more resentful because I had lost more and more of who I was. I used to be a little animal, shock face. I was a certified scuba diver. I was an avid hunter. I had 4-wheelers. I had 3 horses we had to get rid of. I was an active person, to say the least. You could not get me out of those mountains. And I was almost a daredevil when it came to things that I would do, but no longer I could do any of those things. We had to get rid of our horses. I can no longer even go for a drive in the country. Basically, all I'm left now able to do that I love, and I love it so much, is I can still fish. And I shall make you a fisherman, not only of fish, but of men. That's what I heard just now. I was angry. I was changed. And in all rights, I was robbed of so much of my identity that I didn't know who I was anymore. And it wasn't fair. Oh, it wasn't fair. And I got no justice. You see, in Nevada, the med-mal cap is $350,000, and no lawyer in the world would take it for that amount, and you only have an 8% chance of winning. We talked to 30 or 40 lawyers finally, and to the point when my husband said, "No more, I can't watch you go through this. Let's just be grateful that you're alive." Never getting justice. And ultimately living the rest of my life in daily pain. Ask me how or if I would ever have been able to forgive this man, who still has never admitted he was wrong. Scans show it. Proof is there. Every one of the lawyers we discussed things with said, "You have the best case I've ever seen. This man did this and he covered it up. He has been watching your 6 screws whittle away your bone from the inside out since 2015. When I went to his office when these bad pains happened, he literally only increased my it was PA did. All he would do is increase my medication to a near fatal dose. One time my mom said, "Hey, my daughter will OD if you do that." He said, "Oh, we'll send Narcan home with Mike." Oh. My new surgeon and the lawyers all agreed he was just hoping I would, well, in all accounts, just go away. The kind of go away where you never come back. Pew, 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 you don't know me. And more so, you don't know my father. You see, nobody gets in the way of my purpose. But one day I was talking to my best friend, Andrea. I said, "You know what? I forgive him. I have to forgive him. No, I have to." And she said, "Letty, really?" I said, "No, I have to." Not only because for me, but because I realized one day after I was born again, that man who was behind the scalpel, who was behind everything that has happened to your auntie, behind taking away 90% of who I am and me living daily in constant pain, he was just the man behind the scalpel. He was just, well, in all accounts, a tool, a piece being played by a much bigger person. He was a part of my process and definitely a part of my purpose. And ultimately, there was one person behind the wheel, and that was my father. And although I couldn't see it when I was knee-deep in all of this, I can see it now. And I can see the true kryptonite of Satan. Because I have forgiven a man who's never apologized. I have forgiven a man who has changed my life in ways I can't describe. But he changed my life in 2 ways. The ones we've already discussed, and I don't want to discuss anymore. But in another way. Had he not done what he did, and I not be who I am and go through what I had gone through, I wouldn't be right here, right now, with you, with 2.2 million followers on this platform. And ultimately, if he hadn't done what he had done, well, Auntie Colette on TikTok wouldn't be saving the souls that she does. You have to look at the bigger picture. And if you want to know the true kryptonite of Satan, it isn't only forgiving people that aren't even sorry. Now, the true kryptonite is this. One day learning to thank them. You have to struggle for your salvation. Ooh, in my case, I had to struggle for others as well. So yeah, I forgive him. And if I ever see him ever again, I'll give him the biggest, most gentle hug. I'll look him dead in the eyes and say, "Thank you. Because of him, I have you, and you have me." Found his kryptonite.